All right, welcome to episode 10 of the Car podcast, and we've got Lachlan here from Cashies.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Likewise, and myself from Auto One Browns Plains. And today we're going to talk about all of the latest and greatest things in the car world, the automotive world.
Well, some of the greatest and some of the not so great.
There are some shameful stories in our podcast because we like to talk about recalls, and there are some guilty parties with recalls, and I know what we're going to talk about today, and I'm sensing a theme. It feels like we're picking on someone.
Yeah, look, what did we say last time we talked about this particular company? Was it 50% or 70% of our podcasts have featured them in a bad light so far?
That percentage is going to jump up after this one.
Actually, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but they were the first ever automotive company to have a recall.
There you go.
So maybe we can touch on that.
Wow, what was that for?
It was for, this is very strange, it was for like moss bugs, insects in the seat material.
Yep, that'll get you.
Spanish, was it Spanish moss? Something like that. They used as a shipping product and also as a stuffing material for the seats.
And dual purpose.
They had a whole bunch of them that came in with insect infestations already. Yeah. So they had to recall them.
So what do they do? Just fumigate them or what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if it was that error and they fumigated them, the occupants would probably have died of cancer or something.
Every time they sit on the seat, a puff of poison comes out.
Yeah, it's just they decided to fumigate them with lead and mercury or something like that. 1920s
different
technology.
times. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I mean, if we haven't given away already, we're talking about Ford, but we'll circle back around to that one. And I think
we've got some other good things in this episode as well, right? So we're going to touch on some of the little bits of news we see about the automotive realm. And we've got some teaser items in front of us, products that we're going to talk about. Some really kind of revolutionary-ish electrical testing equipment. Yeah,
it's just something different that's starting to come through. So it's good to see. Good to be on top of all the new stuff coming through and understand the pros and cons. You know, everything has its use case, but not everything's perfect.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Shall we jump into it?
Let's start with the news. So whenever I move house, one of the things I think about is where am I going to park my car? Mm-hmm. And we have an example of someone down south somewhere that they found an interesting place to park their car.
Yeah, well, a place they can never get their car out of. That's something that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They've gone and bought a $3 million car. Yep. And parked it in their 30...
What model Toyota Camry is that?
It's the new hybrid TRD. No, they've gone and bought a McLaren Senna GTR. So
nice.
Not even road legal.
Yep.
$3 million Australian dollars.
So you can't drive on the road anyway.
No, it's only for track use. And they've parked it in the living room of their $39 million high-rise apartment.
Beautiful.
Not a ground floor apartment. It had to get craned up, and I think the cost of the crane was $400,000 again.
That's insane.
Just ridiculous.
And then when you want to move it out, there's another 400 whatever.
Well,
to move it again. So this is if you can, you probably have to deconstruct the building and then reconstruct it again and.
He just takes the building with him.
Yeah.
Now, I saw something on TikTok yesterday about this. It was a reporter from A Current Affair.
Yep.
That did an absolute bundle. Just went to report on the installation of this piece of art in this man's living room, the Senna. And it looks like it was planned, but it was upsetting because he put his coffee cup on the car, on the paintwork, and then got told off about it.
Oh, the reporter did?
The reporter put his coffee cup on
What's he doing?
And then he wiped off any watermarks with the hand he was wearing his watch with.
Oh, man.
Apparently, the owner has confirmed since that the car got scratched.
Oh, yeah, of course it did.
So
how silly.
Is upsetting.
It's a car, not a coffee table, but then again, he put it where you'd normally put a coffee table inside his unit.
And I think the owner didn't seem too stressed about it at the time either.
No, just another paint job. Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
It's actually got the Senna livery as well. The Marlboro Red.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Very good. Yeah, I did hear about this, but I don't remember seeing it. So that's cool. It's got that sort of paint colour going on. That's
Have
really...
you ever heard the history of Marlboro Red as well?
No, tell me.
So Marlboro Red is a colour that was designed specifically for use on the Formula 1 cars.
Okay.
For the advertising purposes, because on the old school tube TVs that you grew up with, I saw the end of.
Only just,
The colour would come across as actual red on a tube TV.
Okay. So in real life, it's a little bit orange.
Yeah.
But on the tube, it's more red.
Yeah, it's like darker. Fluorescent orange in real life.
Yeah.
And that's how we've come to have this iconic colour.
Yep. And these days, you'd call that effect HDR. But moving right along, there's a story that's come out about Dodge. And Dodge, I'm not sure if you'd call it creative, but they've got a different approach to selling cars. Yeah. Maybe just this car.
I think they've got a different approach to cars in general. Everyone else seems to be going straight for EVs, and Dodge has been holding on to supercharged V8s for the past.
Yeah, why not?
But they've sold the allocation of the final build for a V8 Challenger.
Okay.
Now, we know what type of V8 Challenger it's going to be. Mm-hmm. It'll be a Demon 170.
Okay, yep.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, 170 horsepower maybe?
Probably 170 cubic feet of supercharging. Something like that. But they've sold the allocation. They sold it at auction, and they sold it with the promise of 100% of it going to charity.
Oh, wow. That's nice that they did that. Yeah. Auction, that's an interesting way of them selling a last run or last build of the vehicle. That's I mean, they'd do well out of it if they were to keep it for themselves.
Well, now here's the interesting thing. Because you've only seen... I've only told you the complete sale price. But there was actually doubly interesting. The first person to purchase the vehicle donated the car back to the auction, and they resold it again on the same night.
Wow. For more or less?
For slightly less.
Less, yep.
So I think...
So the second bidder basically just rebid again at their lower price, yeah.
So the first purchaser spent $400,000
wow.
on the allocation.
Yep.
And then decided that he was just going to donate that money or re-give the car.
Yeah.
And then the second time through, they've gone $350,000.
Yep.
So total sum over $1 million Australian.
$1 million Dodge
donated to charity.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah. And big shout out to my mate Bill Gates.
Yeah. What?
Don't know who it was. I just he's got money. So
no, wouldn't it be ironic if it was Elon?
Could be. He's trying to take all the petrol cars off the market so he can have a bigger share.
Yeah.
But that's cool. And so they say it's going to be a Dodge Challenger 170, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or did you say Demon?
Dodge Challenger Demon 170. It's
because the Demon's pretty much a drag car, right?
Yeah, it's the Demon was the one you could buy with the $1 pack.
That's the crate with all the... Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So what came in the crate?
Retuned ECU.
Wow, yep.
I think it came with skinny front wheels.
That's right,
pizza cutters.
Yep.
I think it came with wide rear wheels.
Yep.
And it might have come with some
suspension. It comes with like a jack and some stuff as well.
Suspension.
There's suspension, yep.
Tools to change the wheels.
Yep.
Different intake. Like a pod filter.
Yep.
So they really went all out with it, and then they sold it as a $1 option.
Wow, that's cool.
So
So everyone took it up.
I mean, actually, I've priced up some electronics for vehicles in the past.
Yep.
And it is astounding how expensive they normally are. So even that ECU by itself, that would have been at least $2,000.
Let's say thousands.
Yeah,
thousands.
yeah,
for that.
absolutely.
Yeah. What a bargain! $1.
Yeah.
I'd buy 10.
And sell the rest to people with scat packs.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, come join the big leagues. If you put all those items on your pizza cutters, all this sort of stuff on your car, would it have been road legal?
No.
No, so that's why they're not putting it on the car.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. And
so many manufacturers do little things like that. Like, I think MV Augusta does a race pack that you can buy.
Yep.
And I think they'll even install it.
Okay, yep. But it's got to be separate because they want to sell a car that's road legal. It's something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They want to do something that's within the regulations, but here's some things, and you can sort of do whatever you want. Almost like say for example, R32 GTR. They used to have a little pill in the boost lines, and you remove that, and you got more boost.
Yeah, I do recall Harley Davidson would sell you an exhaust with your brand new bike.
Yep.
And would fit an exhaust to your brand new bike, but would make you sign a waiver to say that it wasn't legal.
Yep. You understand that it's not legal. Yep. And really, like, if you're getting into bikes, that's a safety advice.
Yeah, have louder exhausts.
Yeah, how else do the cars know you're there?
Yeah. Oh, every time.
And your neighbours and everyone else.
This will be dating a bit, but I know of someone whose next door neighbour has quite a loud Harley Davidson, who they themselves have quite a loud car.
They both do, yeah.
Yeah, so the neighbour and the person both have loud vehicles. The Harley's much louder.
I bet, yeah.
But every couple of weeks, the neighbour complains about the noise of the loud car.
Oh, really?
It came about, they were talking amongst themselves. It turns out that the Harley Davidson owner doesn't wear his hearing aids when he starts his bike.
Oh, okay.
So,
but when he gets in his house, he then puts them in.
Yeah.
And then he notices the noise from the car.
Yeah. So, it's like living next to a racetrack, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I thought they'd be like brothers in arms, you know. So hey,
you'd really think
fighting the good fight for the loud cars.
It's alright.
Yeah. Very cool. So one thing that reminds me of the Dodge selling an allocation.
Yes.
Is when Jaguar came out with the XJ220, so their supercar in the early 90s to go up against the McLaren F1 and whatever else was out at the time.
The EB110 as well.
EB110, yeah, classic cars. And they sold an allocation of that, but they said it was going to have a different engine to what it ended up with. So say they said, I think it was, going off memory here, a V12.
Yeah. And
it's going to do all these great things. And then they ended up going with a turbocharged 6.
Yep.
And it was a stinkingly quick car. It was like, it would have achieved a lot of the other things that it claimed, but it wasn't a V12. And people took them to court for it.
That actually does sound about right. I'd be very annoyed if my V12...
so you bought an allocation on a V12 car?
Yeah, I'd be very upset if my V12 supercar had half the cylinders and 2 extra turbos.
That's cost cutting there, isn't it?
And you think about it, like the V6 turbo would have actually been a lot different to drive than a naturally aspirated V12.
Completely different car. In style, yeah.
Early 90s turbocharged cars, famously laggy.
Yeah,
right?
A bit rough. Yeah.
And I think that's what was said of the XJ220s as well.
Yep.
Is that they were...
a little bit on or off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Widowmakers.
Yep. Cool car though.
Yeah.
So if this was Dodge, and someone bought this allocation, they've spent $350,000 or let's say $1 million in total.
They put a Dodge Dart.
Yeah, Dodge Dart or a Dodge Neon or whatever turns up. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Actually,
can I get a scat pack for that one?
I think you find the Dodge Dart or the Dodge Neon SRT.
Yep.
Because
that's a cool car. I like that. I got respect for it.
We're former Fiat enthusiasts. Reformed.
Yep.
I believe they've got the multi-air motor in them.
Oh, really?
1.4 litre variable lift, variable timing Fiat motor in the Dodge.
That'd be an upgrade for these Challenger guys.
Yeah, well.
But what gearbox does it have?
Some European refinement. Oh, It's American. It'll have a 4-speed auto.
Oh, well, that's a big upgrade over the factory Bath gearbox.
Oh, yeah, yours
the auto, that is.
Yours had some
MTA.
Problem. Actually, I've rarely seen problems with the automatic, with the manual gearbox.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Abarths.
Yeah.
But
yours is? Yours is manual?
Mine's a manual.
Yours is manual. It was backstory. I had the MTA, sort of like a what do you call it, automaticized manual. So what clutchless manual, I suppose you call them.
Yep.
And I had all sorts of problems with this gearbox.
Yeah,
and then you had the manual, which is meant to be pretty safe, pretty reliable,
bulletproof.
But what happened?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what's happened with it, but we'll just say that the gearbox has gone to the graveyard. It's got diff problems.
Yep.
And in a car that I've never seen manual gearbox problems in before. So this is some news out there in the world. The Fiat manual gearboxes, incredibly strong. We've got quite a number of people running big-ish horsepower through. One of our mutuals...
So by big horsepower in a Fiat, you're talking about like 200 or something?
Probably approaching 300, 350.
That's a good amount of power for that car.
Actually, there's now an owner in Brisbane with an MTA.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With a Bath with a automatic gearbox that's gunning for, I think, 310 kilowatts at the wheel.
That's a lot. That's there's a guy in the UK called Bilal. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and I'm going off memory here, but he had that sort of power.
Yeah, mental.
Yeah, that's cool.
But one of our mutual friends has done 3 or 4 engines because he's made enough power, but he's still on his factory gearbox.
I like how you call that enough power.
Yeah. Enough to spin the wheels in fourth.
Oh, you imagine the torque steer on that, wow. But they are fantastic fun car, and we've totally gone off topic here.
How do we get from
Dodge Challengers to Little Bath, so I guess it runs through the blood.
Well, I guess we'd better move on to a next news story then. I look at our run sheet, it makes no sense to me because
That's your handwriting.
Yeah. I can't even read it. It's Toyota has filed a patent for a new name for what is essentially a mild hybrid system.
Okay, yep. So what is it?
From the article, they're kind of theorising that maybe Toyota just refuses to call anything a mild hybrid. Yep. But it's the new mild hybrid Hilux, and they're going to call it Toyota Kinetic Assist.
Okay, all right. And so you say mild hybrid. How's a mild hybrid different to a normal hybrid like a Prius?
Well, they take out some of the chilies.
Yep. Okay, so it's more basic. It does less.
Don't know what the difference is going to be. Mild hybrid might mean that like a KERS system.
Yep.
In Formula One, they're going to run on the flywheel. They'll run like a combination starter motor generator.
Yep.
Starter motor generator motor.
That sounds like what they used to do like yesteryear.
Yeah. A lot of the
generator.
A lot of the actual hybrid stuff is generator motor, and then electric motor actually does the driving.
Right. Gotcha.
Whereas KERS, I think with the KERS system, they either run an electric motor generator on the crankshaft of the car, and then they run through a standard gearbox.
Okay.
So maybe that's
like a boost.
Yeah, exactly. That might be what they're referring to.
Push to pass.
Yeah.
In a Hilux.
Hilux.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the way that Hilux drivers get around. They probably get used plenty.
So I'm just thinking practical uses. So maybe a Hilux that's a four-wheel drive, and you're off the beaten track and using the petrol engine or diesel or whatever.
Yep.
To try and pull yourself out of bog. You don't have much air coming through, but maybe the batteries or the KERS systems are less heat inducive way of pulling yourself out of a bog. But still, batteries cause a lot of heat. Using that sort of power.
if they offered it as a $1 option, where you bought a, what do they call them, TGN Hilux, the 2-wheel drive Hilux.
Yep.
And you could just add electric motors to the front wheels.
There you go.
Yeah.
Upgrade. Yeah.
4-wheel drive.
Why not? Yeah.
And then you have 4-wheel drives are notorious for driveline loss. All of a sudden your car is much more efficient.
More reliable.
Yeah, lighter.
There you go. Lighter, yeah. Oh, hang on. How much does the motors and the batteries weigh?
If you have
it might be about the same.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Just a mild,
but a bit more torquey.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It will.
All right, so we will wait and see, and hopefully we see the next gen Hilux when it comes out, because they're about due to come out with a new model. Maybe they have this kinetic system in there.
Yeah, I hope and pray that if they're going to come out with another Hilux, that it's simple.
Simple. Okay, the current one not simple.
I mean, it's simple enough. It's just more and more utes, as we'll get to in the later part of this episode. More and more utes are getting extravagant, overcomplicated. I've got a story about that when we get to it.
Okay, but I remember when I was young. This is before you were born. And utes were really basic. They were so, I mean, I suppose a lot of cars were, but I mean, utes were like a generation behind what a car was. But now I feel utes are a generation ahead of what your normal passenger car is.
Well, yes and no. You look underneath a ute and they're not.
No? Okay.
You look underneath a ute and they're still using leaf springs.
That's true.
Solid rear.
That's a fair call.
All drum brake rear as well. Is really common in utes. And that's technology of the 20s.
That's true.
Right?
Yep.
But you look at the interiors and such and they're going absolutely all out.
Some of the assists and 4-drive systems and all that sort of stuff. Very
There's
clever.
actually someone I follow did a comparison where they looked at utes over time, comparing the size of the cab to the size of the tray as a percentage.
I think I've seen an infographic on this.
Yeah. But utes have gotten so much more expensive as well.
Oh yeah, massively.
I was talking to a customer of ours recently. He said that he bought a second-hand Ranger. It's only 2 years old, but it's the last of the 3.2 litres.
Yeah, well, like a PX3 or something like that.
Wild Track.
Oh, nice. Yep.
He said even second-hand, like a year or two old, it was over $70,000.
Wow. Yeah.
And then he's gone and put a canopy on it. For work. All up, he's over $100,000 into his work truck.
Wow, nice canopy.
Well,
but everything else, I get it. Yeah.
The work truck I'm bunging around in, I think I spent $4 on.
People spend what they want to spend. Yeah.
All work trucks should come with wind-up windows.
Vinyl.
The
little corner windows, where you just.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Aircon. Yeah, that's the way I remember them. But no, these days they're really family cars. They do everything.
There's a guy I follow on TikTok that shares my opinion on this. If you're buying a truck to use as a family car, what you want is an SUV or a station wagon.
Yep. And
if you want an SUV, but you don't go off-road, what you should be having is a station wagon.
Station wagon, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we use as a work car, and I can tell you, I can fit a bull bar in the back of the station wagon, which you couldn't fit on the back of a ute.
I've got
definitely not a dual cab
photo somewhere in my phone of an entire interior for a 70s Volvo shoved into a Mazda 3 hatchback.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
something
cool.
like that.
Yep,
full
bench
seat, full seats.
Wow,
everything.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And those Volvos, they're built tough. So those seats, they probably weigh 100 kilos each.
Yeah, something like that. Now on this Toyota thing, Toyota's also had another news story this week.
Yep.
They've announced for the Corolla GR Morizo.
I saw it, I read the headline, but I didn't go into detail. So you have to tell me about it.
Well, this isn't about the Morizo or whatever they call it. This is actually a announcement they've come out with recently. There'll be no track warranty.
But Hyundai with the N series offer a track warranty.
Yeah.
What about the GR Yaris? Is there a track warranty on that?
I don't know about the GR.
I don't think Toyota does it at all.
No.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that is, because they're releasing a 2-seat lightweight Corolla.
Yeah, it's a track version.
A track car. And they've now released it without a track warranty. Whereas you can buy your run-of-the-mill i20N.
Yep.
And have it fully covered.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's, look, I think sales will dictate what happens with that. And if the GRs are hot enough that, they might just sell them and be okay without it. But, I think if people start to wake up to what's going on here and the value that Hyundai are offering, maybe if sales will start going. I know there's a wait list for these Hyundais, the N series. So maybe that'll start to dictate.
I think that's a problem as well. Right. The Corolla GR, the Yaris GR are such cool cars, and there is a wait list for all of them probably. But they're such cool cars that people are going to go, oh, what's my risk with the track warranty? I want the car anyway. So the numbers aren't going to be reflective of what the public actually thinks.
No. Not at the start. Maybe later on in its life when, the first batch of people have got them and then you're trying to sell them.
Like when
you're trying to convince people to get it.
When the first 8.6 came out and they were incredibly popular.
Yep.
Now people are like buying them because they want them, not because they're hot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the Yaris, I remember when that came out, and I was watching it, and I thought, oh, that'd be a cool little car. And I rang up a Toyota dealership that was advertising one. I said, looking at the Yaris, can I test drive it? And they said, no.
Yeah.
No, you gotta put your name down and put your money down and buy it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I want to test drive it first. Maybe I don't like it.
Yeah, I think that sort of stuff. Dealerships get away with some absolute murder with that sort of stuff. Have you seen in the last few weeks that an Australian tuning company has pushed the most horsepower out of a Yaris GR in the world at the moment?
About 700, was it?
750.
Wow. Oh,
on a 3-cylinder.
I don't know much about it, but I did hear that someone's pushing that sort of power.
Something like that. 740.
That's crazy.
3-cylinder, 1.6.
Yeah. What's that? All between 8,000 and 9,000 RPM or something?
Yeah, it happened once crazy. And then the engine blew.
Oh, really?
No. It just goes to show that modern engine technology is so strong.
That's like the old F1 turbo era engines, because they were pretty small engines and they were pushing about 1,000 horsepower, weren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, it all comes down to, I've been listening to a lot of tuning podcasts, and from my understanding, it all comes down to like controlling the combustion process and actively monitoring every part of the engine. So every time you have what resembles knock or something like that, you're able to pull it back enough to save it.
Yeah. Cool.
Whereas in the old days, they would maybe had knock sensors.
Yep.
But they were mostly
that was pretty basic.
If I've got an engine in pieces, an engine that's together, I'll throw more timing and fuel at it. Sort of thing. Until it blows up and then back a step.
When it's too late. Yeah, that's amazing, hey. 700 plus horsepower.
Yeah.
Insane.
1,200 kilo car as well?
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I think it's probably too much. But it proves a point.
Yeah, well...
It proves a point.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we'll move on to recalls. And I know you've got, what do you call it, an affiliation, of affinity or something like that with the French, don't you? You quite like them.
Yeah, I'd like them to not, for the most part.
Not the cars, that's right. It may have been some other French sort of product, but not cars.
If it's a French car, a la poubelle, in the bin.
Oh dear.
No, look, the French cars are some of the most pleasant to look at cars on the road. It's a shame that they do what they do underneath. For the most part. But a recall that has just come out on the Peugeot something sedan. I honestly...
what was it?
5008.
5008? Yep.
508, 607. They just random numbers.
And what did they do? What did they do wrong? What did they do wrong this time?
They're a plug-in hybrid.
Cool.
And they'll probably actually be related to a Mitsubishi in some way.
Yeah.
But plug-in hybrid has had a recall due to an increased fire risk coming from a lack of strength in the reinforcement for the battery.
So how does that lead to a fire? So the battery's gonna
Twist.
Okay,
Maybe
so it's gonna off kilter. Maybe connections are stressed.
Plate over the top.
Yep.
And your reinforcement on each end or each side.
Yep.
Maybe you've got twist in it diagonally.
Yep.
And you end up with contact between.
Short out or something like that. And this is the hybrid battery or the starting battery?
Plug-in hybrid battery. So that'll be the big one under the floor or something.
Yeah, the one that you don't want to catch fire.
Yeah.
That's the one that's at risk of catching fire.
But it's weird. I was reading through it and I haven't done enough research because, frankly, I don't care.
Yeah.
I love hybrids. I love electric cars, but it's not what I...
No, it's not your main sort of interest, yeah.
And it's one of those things, it's 100 cars have been recalled.
Right. How many did they make?
How many did they sell in Australia?
It might be a limited run Peugeot 5008. 100 made.
In France, they've probably sold 500,000. But
that's right. Yeah.
Here, they've probably recalled 100 of 106.
So that was Australian recall.
Yeah.
And really, Peugeot is a small percentage of what gets sold over here. So that might be a fair percentage of their cars sold over here. Yeah. But if you've got a Peugeot plug-in hybrid, maybe double check the recall.
There was an interesting thing about this because on the first recall, there was 106 affected cars.
Yep.
There was 108 affected cars the same week in another recall.
Same car.
For the same car.
Maybe they sold 2 more that week.
But for a software update.
Oh, okay.
A recall for a software issue that could also cause an electrical fire.
Software fire?
I don't...
Are they running the thing too hard, maybe? Maybe they're just backing it off, so if you had X amount of power, now you got Y amount of power or something like that.
It's Dieselgate all over again. Hybrid gate.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Oh, jeez.
Now, there were 2 things that stood out to me in this article. The first was that they said that for insulation on the batteries, they were using a protective wax.
Oh, now that sounds like something that won't last too long.
No, I've never, very olden days, we had braided insulated wire that was wax coated.
Wax coat, yep.
And it was famous for falling apart, dying, burning,
might
all
get
sorts
a bit
of
brittle
stuff.
and fall away, then it's
and
flammable.
Anytime you get heat through it, it's going to melt.
Yeah.
So
doesn't make
any
sense.
kind of wax.
Yeah.
Now,
but it's good to see Peugeot's keeping the wax industry alive.
Well, it's eco-friendly.
That's right.
It's not epoxy coated. It's wax coated. You just need to refresh it every 6 years.
Yeah.
No, look, I didn't read the details of the recall quite enough to know.
Yep.
100%. So I won't.
But there's a recall out there.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. No,
that might not entirely be true, but the recall exists for a battery and the recall exists for software updates. Both on the same car, both in the same week.
Wow, they're on fire.
might be.
So but both in the same week, but 2 different ones at different days.
Well,
I'm surprised they didn't just do it all in one go.
The news article. Came out
separated,
on the same week.
Week. Yeah.
It might be that Peugeot's put one in 3 months ago and one in last month, but it's just now been released to the public or something like that.
There's a certain for the wax issue. There's a certain target market that this wouldn't be a problem for.
I'm not sure I want to hear this.
Surface.
Yeah.
Wax the board while they're at it. Just wax the battery. Ready to go.
That's maybe you and I have different wax
Or maybe wax on the paint, or maybe a detail.
I thought it was like
that.
Occult people with all their weird wax candles and scented candles.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Which would
That's
be
romantic.
And
the French are known to be very romantic, so I can see that as well.
Peugeot, the hybrid of love.
Yeah. It's nice and warm because of the fire.
It won't go out for months.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, we got to move on from this one. Let's talk about our favourite manufacturer when it comes to recalls.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to recalls, as you might have alluded to earlier, the first ever recall was a Ford motor vehicle.
Yep.
With the Model T.
No surprises.
And the brand new Everest and Ranger 2022 model has now got a recall on it on 1,300 vehicles.
Wow. Okay. And what's the issue? What are they fixing?
They have a issue where the seatbelt assemblies weren't properly assembled, and they apparently won't hold occupants properly in event of a crash.
Oh dear. Well, I guess prevention is better than the cure, so you don't want to crash anyway. So, non-problem for most of us. But
yeah,
when you're in a crash, it's a big problem. You know, you think, I'm going to buy a car. What things do we want to work on the car?
Yeah.
Number one, seatbelt.
Brakes,
seatbelt.
door locks.
That's another one of their problems. Yeah, another one of their problems. And yeah.
What was the statistics? Something between 50 and 80% of our episodes we've mentioned a Ford recall now.
Yeah.
Which either says something about me picking on Ford, or something about Ford as a...
I'm going to view it in a different light. Ford are so progressive that they're out there doing these things to fix their cars, whereas other manufacturers might not be.
Ford is...
I think they're ahead of the curve.
So progressive, they're testing the limits of material strength by using...
On their customers.
But
I mean, I drive a Ford, so yeah, I'm a living and walking, breathing crash test dummy.
That's I was recently writing a blog post about this, and who knows when I'll put it up. But the Ford door lock recall. Who thought that it was going to be a good idea to make plastic door locks?
Yeah, Ford.
Yeah, material strength test.
It's a step up from wax, though.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll go from the French to the European.
Because you can engineer plastic to do some pretty cool stuff, but yeah, no, on the surface level, does not make sense. It's like you're making a car that's not going to last the test of time, and you look at Ford and their history. I mean, Ford's history is making a car that's going to last a long time. That's
their slogan.
That's what made them and built Ford tough. Yeah. That's what made them so big back in the early days, and something that's made Toyota so big in more recent times.
Yeah, I think we've put out some blog posts about this in the past, but I think manufacturers nowadays, like, generically are fairly reliable. I think most of the issues come from accounting or from just not being thoughtful in the design process.
Yep.
Like, I did a set of control arms on a teeter last week, and to access it, you've got to lift the whole gearbox out. It's people not thinking about how to access. It's kind of
bad packaging.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on from Ford. We'll give Ford a bit of a break, and
we'll see them next episode.
Yeah. But I suppose as a safety thing, I mean, seatbelt issues can happen to any car, especially over a length of time.
Yeah.
So it's something that should be checked.
Yeah, especially with cars that you're getting in and out of all the time. Cars with mileage on them, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Frayed seatbelts are really common, and I believe you sell some replacements.
Yep. We sell the APV branded seatbelts, but they are a replaceable item if you wish. Yep.
Yeah, but seatbelts fraying. Anytime you see that fraying, you're actually looking at material degradation in that seatbelt.
And they can't do their job. I mean, they're built to a standard.
Yeah.
And that they can't meet that standard once they start fraying.
Yeah. So anytime you see that that fraying on the edges or any kind of like thinness, it's a woven nylon kind of fabric. it's just material weakness. So if you got fraying on the edge, I think the biggest risk is that it'll probably tear in an incident.
Yep. Yeah. No, you don't want that.
Yeah, and that's why Formula One, any kind of racing, has a timeout on seatbelts as well.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Right, because is it poly based, like it's made out of a synthetic material.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but it looks like it. Yeah.
And we've all seen that stuff as it gets older and older. It starts to become brittle and sort of like fibrous.
Yep.
It times out and it doesn't do its job properly.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense, and there's a solution out there for those who see it and want to replace it. You can go to a store and all the stuff. So that's good.
I think you'll find with some aftermarket seatbelts as well, you might be able to choose the colour you want.
Yeah. Yep. Some people do customising.
Yeah. Bright yellow seatbelts in your.
Makes your car faster.
Yeah, to match your Peugeot when it's on fire.
Wonder if they make a flame-proof one. You might have to wear a flame-proof suit when you hop in these Peugeots.
It's just, Nomex business suits.
Yeah. We'll leave them alone, and we might move on to products. We might start off with the two products that we've got, and then link to the product you brought along, because that sort of links to tips.
Yeah, absolutely. So
cool.
You've shown me. Let's start with the soldering iron here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, I have always been a proponent for the gas butane soldering irons.
Yep.
Not because I think they're better. It's just I don't want to be stuck somewhere without it. So I've got a $12 one in the car that and a can of butane, and it never runs out.
Yep, nice.
But you bought this Hot Devil soldering iron.
Yeah, we're starting to see some cordless, butaineless, gasless soldering irons hit the market, and this is one of them. This is made by Hot Devil, and it's a lithium battery. It's got a USB-C charging port on there. It comes with this stand, and comes with a little bit of solder, a tip, and a sponge for cleaning it off.
Yeah, a classic. It's got all the bits in it that you normally see. It's kind of an interesting bit of kit. I think that the plastic injection molded casing is quite good.
Yeah, and even the stand, it's got a bit of weight to it. The sponge is a little bit lackluster. I'm not sure how much you'd really use that. You'd probably want something separate if you're serious about it. But that feels nice. I've never used
a sponge on one of these, but I do see. Well, I guess it's got to have a bit of weight in it because it's
a stand. It's holding it up.
Yeah, but it's actually the tube in it's metal as well, so maybe that's about insulating it from the rest of the stand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But one thing I do like, and you will see it on older soldering irons, especially the ones you just plug in the wall and stab at things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're inclined, just stab at things with them.
Watch out, hot iron coming through.
This has got this really nice inch of air gap with a grate on it to prevent anyone from touching it.
Stop it from getting too hot and let it cool down. Yeah.
And I wonder if that bit of metal there in any way actually contacts the tip to help it cool down faster, but
I'm not too sure.
It doesn't look like it. It looks pretty well insulated sort of thing. But the casing itself, nice softer rubber and a good grip so you're not dropping things that are hot.
Yep.
And we've tested this, so I'll turn it on now. It's three clicks. Or one long click.
Initial.
So, really nice, like butyl-ish rubber grip on it. So quite safe. You're not going to drop it easily.
Yep.
And then
it does feel good in the hand.
Yeah, it's the right size. I almost wonder if the button's on the wrong side as well, because it feels like a right-handed tool. So how are you going to properly hold it to press it with your thumb? Feels a bit weak with the
it does. Yeah, it would be good if they had the same buttons either side,
unless
so you could left hand, right hand, swap over.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a pencil. You've got to hold it the other way up. But you said this has got like a hour long lifespan.
It can run for an hour, yeah. Which I mean, for a battery operated one of these things, that's pretty good.
And you said the tip on it is that it won't heat up unless you press and hold the button.
Yeah, so you can see that light there. It'll let you know when it's working.
And it actually, we picked this up before. It turns green when it thinks it's hot enough to do its job.
To temp, so
there we go.
I suppose when I'm using a gas one, you can just set it, forget it, let it warm up. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas this one, you got to wait for it to warm up. So that was pretty quick. That wasn't too bad.
20 seconds maybe.
It's got a light there, so you can see what you're doing as well, which is pretty good. So I think for just a quick sort of fix up sort of job, it's good.
Home gamer,
there's
no reason not to.
But if you're used to running yours, you've got one with a separate controller, you can just keep running that temperature all the time. You can put it down, pick it up, all those sort of things. This one doesn't do that because you got to keep your finger on that button. Yeah, it's a good safety device, but you got to keep your finger on that button to keep it working.
I like the gas one because it means I can do jank shit when I need to. Sorry, that's my honest opinion.
Terminology. Yep.
Like, I've had a couple of times where I've had to, and it's got a attachment where you can turn it into a mini blowtorch.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Actually, I've had one of those in the past before as well.
But like, I've had occasions where I've needed to burn something rubber or needed to burn something plastic off.
Yep.
Especially on old cars, or I've needed to try to, like, in a very not great situation, plastic weld something that's not available.
Yep.
And I can get by with that.
Or heat something up so you can take it off. Or something.
Exactly.
Heat temperature differential and sort of get things moving.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the home gamer, if you're going to do a little bit of electrical work, that's kind of an awesome option. I quite like it. But
yeah. It's got its place.
What's the price on it?
I'm gonna go off memory here, but I think it might be around the $50 or $60 sort of mark.
On the box, is it? I think I saw
on the other boxes. There's something on there. So
USB-C charging as well. So
it's modern. You see some of these new devices come out, and they still got USB micro or something like that charging. And you think, geez, how old is this design? But no, this is new. So it's lithium battery. It's got the USB-C charging. It's got a nice stand. It's convenient. It just won't run continuously like some of the other products.
It's a reputable brand as well.
Good brand.
Yeah, these guys have been around for forever. Speaking of prices on boxes, do you want to tell me about our other tool?
I'll grab a battery here. So here's one I prepared earlier.
3 volts to 30 volts DC cordless circuit tester. What does that mean?
Okay, so it is like a neat product. You can just sort of pop it in your pocket there, and normally on a circuit tester you would have your earth cable. Yeah. Whereas with this one, you are the earth cable.
Yeah, I've been guilty of buying 10-foot alligator extension.
Oh, that's a good idea.
To be able to test things in the back of a car. So what's the go with this?
Okay, all right. So say you're working on a car, doors open, you can find a bolt or something like that. You can just earth it yourself. So we've got pos and neg there, and just on there you can see that I'm the one that completes the circuit.
Would it earth through 2 of us? Say if we touch hands.
There you go.
That's pretty incredible.
That's pretty cool. So
no need to buy your 10-foot extensions anymore.
No, that's right.
Just have a friend.
Just what was the monkey group sort of a few people? Yeah, daisy chain it. Yeah. So that's that there. It's got a little light there as well if you didn't see before. Yeah. And it's also got a speaker as well, so it's audible.
Yeah. We call this continuity testing.
There you go.
Because it's not.
Yep.
It's died.
Hang on. Maybe the batteries. I think us holding hands may have. There we go. It's working.
Oh, maybe it's
Was I touching something else? Yeah. Okay. All right. Right.
Strange. Let me try.
Okay, you try.
I might have the magic touch.
Okay.
I think
there must be a layer around me or something like that.
Yeah. Do you use moisturiser on your hands?
No, but it's pretty cold and dry, so...
Yeah, who knows?
You can forgive me if I did.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't.
No, look, this is sick. This is continuity testing, so it's not 100%. It's not actually... Like, this is an idiot check. This is the kind of check where you want to, like... Do I think it's a fuse? There is power at the fuse. It's not confirming that there's an issue with the fuse or anything like that. But if you're in a horrible spot and you need to kind of probe something, just go for it.
It's just really quick and easy.
Yeah. The other cool thing is that you don't need the line on it because they get in the way. The only thing I wish was slightly different about this, I wish it maybe had a voltage readout. Yep. I also wish that it maybe had an incandescent bulb.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Now, I know that probably wouldn't work so well.
Yep. And is that so you can see how strong the voltage is through an incandescent bulb? An
old school mechanic told me this. Always get the incandescent one because it takes, point nothing of an amp to light.
Click on an LED.
An LED.
Yeah.
Whereas it takes an amp,
say,
to light an incandescent bulb.
And you get a bit of an idea of how bright that bulb's going to be as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I might actually have to get one of these or something like this, just to keep on track. But it brings us into the actual product that I would normally use.
The real deal. This is what you do. So this is like a quick, convenient sort of one. It's easy to understand and use. But now, we've got the multimeter.
You can see that this is dirty.
It's well used.
Because this is the one that's come out of my truck.
Yeah.
But you sell something similar to this?
Yeah. We'll have different versions. We'll have a few different versions of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with your test light there, you're going to get basically a yes or no. Is there some sort of voltage there? The cool thing about a multimeter is, first and foremost, you're going to be able to say what kind of voltage you've got. So for us here, it's 12.5.
Here we go. Just for the viewer.
So 12.5-ish volts. But the functionality you get on a multimeter compared to a test light is massive. Our tips and tricks for the day is actually related to multimeters in general. It's to not go shotgunning the parts cannon. Don't just go throwing parts at cars. I've seen all too often recently people get the, and I hate to say it, the RACQ out, and they go, the RACQ goes, it cranks and it doesn't start, it's probably a fuel pump. And people call us up going, I need a fuel pump replacement, and all too often...
I bet you see that a lot.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where we go, well, the RACQ is very good at what they do, but we don't trust them for that kind of diagnosis. And we always ask to re-diagnose the problem. And then inevitably people will refuse it, and we replace stuff at their request, and they're upset that it hasn't fixed it.
That's what you call the part shotgun.
Exactly.
Just throw parts at problems.
Exactly. So, multimeter, if you've got an electrical problem, invest... How much do you sell these for?
I mean, you can pick these things up really, $15 or something like that for a cheap one. So
all you really need, if you're doing basic electric stuff, is maybe amp meter, definitely voltage, definitely resistance or continuity. If you suspect it's got a starter motor failure, instead of just throwing a starter motor at it, you can check for voltage when you flick the key for the signal. You can check for voltage on the constant power. And then the really key thing is checking for resistance on the positive lead and resistance through the earth side of the right? Because any one of those things is going to cause a slow crank or a no crank.
Yep.
And all too often people just overlook that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
Right? So $15 here, 20 minutes worth of YouTube time. And you're going to actually probably save yourself a lot of money.
You can learn how to use it. You can do a lot more than what you can do with a test light. And in fact, you can probably pick up a cheap one of these for less than what this one will cost. And these ones, to get a brand name one, you might be around that $30, $40 upwards to get a brand name.
You can spend a lot of money.
And then you can get some, like a power probe kit or something like that. You can spend a lot of money if you want to.
Fluke.
Oh, yep, they got some nice gear.
But yeah, I couldn't justify spending $300-$400 on a multimeter.
On a multimeter, yep.
But like these have got they're different jobs for different tools for different jobs. It's this is a quick check. This is when you actually care about the result. And this is great for fuse testing. But like we said, this will light on 3 volts and it'll light on no current. You might have a fuse that has corrosion on the connections.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
Or a partially burnt fuse. And if you're checking on one side of the fuse, you might see 12 volts, and then on the other side, you might see 5 volts.
Yep.
You know, you've
and that's
got
the indicator.
A half-burnt fuse.
Yeah.
Whereas this is going to light all the time.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a hot tip on checking fuses.
I've seen that way too often.
Yeah, is that right? So, really, you're seeing it a fair bit?
Either corrosion through the fuse, through the connection, or something like that. I've seen. I actually had an apprentice that I know diagnosing a no start on his. He picked up a XR6 Turbo on the cheap.
Yep.
Started Marin, drove it home, and then it would never start again. And it's the little things. This is more on scan tool side of things, but we were looking at crank signal.
Yep.
And it had no crank signal, but it turned out that where the wire runs down, it had been wiggled too many times and it had a partial break in it.
Yep.
Right? So if you're looking at resistance through that wire, you're going to be able to see straight away. And in the end, I didn't actually have to pull out a multimeter. Yep. I just wiggled along the wire and it started.
Yeah, right, okay.
And you could pinpoint it straight away.
And it's just like troubleshooting, isolating. It's those sort of skills that that they can save you money in terms of parts that you need to buy. You just buy what you absolutely need rather than replace half the car to get it going
and
again.
I've seen some ridiculously priced starter motors and alternators recently. We saw what was the cost price on it? Retail price on some of these alternators getting close to $1,200 now.
Wow, it's a pretty new car.
Yeah, newer stuff. I think maybe it was alternator on a diesel Santa Fe. Real retail price was recommended around $900.
Wow, that's pretty high.
And then you've got to justify that when it doesn't fix the problem. Yeah, that's very hard to do.
Yep. And that's when you get a experienced mechanic like at Cashies, they can save you money by being more accurate with their troubleshooting and identifying the issue. Yeah.
So what's our product of the day and our tip of the day is invest a little bit of time into learning how to look at a problem properly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can give an example on a Hyundai Getz that power was cutting in and out.
Yep.
Checking everything, air, fuel, ignition, and in the end, it was just electrical connections that had gotten brittle, and the connection was just coming in and out.
Yeah,
and just replace those cables and back to normal.
Yeah, we might have to do a bit of a product review at some point. I don't think you guys sell them so often, but smoke test kit.
Oh, yep. Should be able to get those.
Around. Yeah. I've recently purchased one that's not going to be your brand.
Yeah, bring it in. Let's do it.
But that's one thing. People go searching after misfires and O2 sensors.
Yep.
And MAF sensors when they should just be getting it smoke tested.
There you go.
Yeah.
We can do that. Get some smoke going, have a disco.
We've got...
do some dancing.
Get a UV light. And we'll use
light, yep.
Yeah, we'll use the UV dye for it as well.
Cool. Easy.
Cool.
That sounds like fun. Well, guys, it's been great having you, and we look forward to seeing you when you come back.
Yep.
And we'll pop out another episode then.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
All right, guys, if you want to see more of Lachlan, you can catch him on Kashi. Is it Kashi Australia or Kashi?
Kashi Australia.
Kashi Australia with a K. And Matt here, Auto One Browns Plains. Yep. Thank you.